My name is Robbie, and I'm another white man behind a desk, and we are live at Bats Theatre in Wellington. This is a place that leans so far to the left, it's struggling to meet earthquake requirements. Now, in the last 50 years, wealth inequality has risen pretty steeply here in New Zealand, and whether you think that's a good thing or a bad thing, this episode is about one major factor contributing to that rise: New Zealand's tax system. Now obviously I don't have time to break down all of the details of New Zealand's tax system, and also I don't want to, because I enjoy the will to live. But what I can do is run through a few ways that rich people are legally avoiding tax, and do it in a fun way that distracts this audience from the fact that they could have gone to a comedy show without a single tax monologue at all. Now, tax is essential, and yet, for some reason, people don't like it. What with tax fraud, tax evasion, tax avoidance, and tax mitigation, people have gotten very clever at dodging tax, and it's great to see our taxpayer-funded education being put to such good use. Multinational corporations get a bad rap for paying zero tax, but that's not fair. In 2016, ExxonMobil paid negative $14 million in tax, and that is a different number. But multinational corporations pay fancy accountants huge amounts of money. So when I'm talking about tax avoidance, I want to make it super clear that I'm not talking about honest, hard-working Kiwis. Or am I? It turns out that rich Kiwis don't like tax either. And if you're a rich person, one of the best ways to pay less tax is to buy property, instead of putting your money into places where it gets taxed, like banks or new businesses. When it comes to housing, people basically fall into one of two categories. There are those who see house prices skyrocket and cry, and those who see house prices skyrocket and cheer, crack bottles of champagne, and burn effigies of Michael Joseph Savage. Now, in the interest of protecting the first group of people from the second, most Western governments have a capital gains tax to discourage property speculation. Now, a capital gains tax means if you earn a profit when you sell your property, you pay tax on that profit, in the same way that you pay a tax when you earn money in every other way. In 2014, the Labour Party booty-called their capital gains tax policy for another night of passion. Outrage swept the nation at the prospect of the family home being taxed. The family home, people cried. You can't tax something with the word family in it. Federated farmers basically called the tax indecent, and David Parker a pervert for even bringing it up. The Labour Party failed to gain support for their capital gains tax policy, despite the fact that it never actually included the family home. In 2016, National introduced a tax on residential homes, excluding the family home, sold within 2 years, but in every other case, the loophole remained. If you earn $50,000 from your job, you pay 30% income tax. If you earn $50,000 from selling a house, you won't. And in all fairness, why should you pay tax on that money? After all, it's not like you did anything to earn it. Now, some people think of these sorts of taxes as just like an excuse to punish the rich. So again, I just want to make a second point really clear. I am not saying that you should be taxed just because you own a lot of stuff. Or am I? Already the Opportunities Party, or the Green Party with less political experience, has proposed a tax. That's right. They've proposed a tax on one of the best ways to earn money: already being rich. Now, I know what you're thinking. But wait, Robbie, we have a progressive... This is you. But wait! We have a progressive tax rate. If you earn more money, you pay more tax. And that's true, audience. But there's a problem. It turns out that just having money saves you quite a lot of money. Firstly, it's expensive to be poor. When you're poor, you can't buy in bulk. You're unlikely to be able to claim things as a business expense, and because you pay off debt slowly, your debt costs more. You pay more relative GST than rich people because you spend a higher percentage of your earnings on the things you need to live, and that's not even taking into account the fact that you can't afford good investments or a fancy accountant. But when you're rich, not only can you put your money into investments like property, you also get to save money by living inside that investment. you get to live for free inside a building that's increasing in value by up to $1,000 a week while you sit in it. It's like a money machine with complimentary bedrooms. Meanwhile, stupid poor people are paying rent. You've got to think it through, guys. Now, there are countless ways that owning equity or stuff helps you get wealthier. Unfortunately, we normally only tax money when it moves, when you earn it or when you spend it. We don't like to tax money that just sits there, being owned by rich people, granting them financial benefits, which is why countries like France, Norway, and Switzerland have something called the equity tax. Now, the equity tax can be a little confusing, so here's an analogy. Imagine you're in a flat, okay, and you're running low on mugs. So your flat decides to create a tax, okay? From now on, it costs money to take mugs into your room. The problem is, as it turns out, the reason you were running low on mugs is because David already has 50 mugs in his goddamn room. That is my flatmate, David, and I have to say, the monologue is not going to get better for him from here on in. You see, there's no tax for the mugs that David already has. I mean, what do you even do with 50 mugs? Are you sleeping on the mugs, David? Now, you're probably already feeling a little pissed off at David. I mean, he's got 50 mugs. And you're living hand-to-mouth on one teacup, and you're taxed every time you take it into your room. But in the real economy, being wealthy gives you financial benefits, which means in this analogy, David's mugs are actually making more mugs. The boy mugs are rooting the girl mugs. And David's just sitting there watching them breed. Now, admittedly, this metaphor is not perfect. A lot of rich people earned their money by working hard, and they got taxed every time they took mugs into their room. They worked hard for their mugs, and they paid their tax. But also, lots of them didn't. New Zealand has an estate tax of literally 0%, which means David might have just inherited those 50 mugs from his dad, and in the process, he didn't pay a dime of tax. So, to sum up, let's imagine that a mug is $1 million. So David got 50 million from his dad for doing nothing and paid 0 tax, while you got $20 an hour for working hard and paid tax on every cent. Then David got the benefits of owning that 50 mil and paid 0 tax on any of those benefits. Then he invested that money into property, made a profit on that property, and paid 0 tax on that. Then one day, David decided to buy a multinational corporation, charged the profits to the Cayman Islands branch of David Incorporated, and once again, paid 0 fucking tax. At this point, you sort of want to kick David out of the flat. I don't. Currently, 10% of Davids own 50% of New Zealand's wealth, and Statistics New Zealand suggests that wealth inequality is growing. We could have an estate tax, a capital gains tax, and an equity tax, or we could watch David roll around in his ever-expanding mug orgy. Frankly, it's up to you. If you want to vote, go for it. David wouldn't miss it for the world.